All right. So today's power was called Intimidation. What I thought that kind of meant when I was writing this whole list of powers is I think it's more of like kind of like the King's Engine in One Punch Man, where you're not actually any stronger. You're not technically any better at fighting, but people just think you're a lot more like people are just very scared of you, right? So it's a massive bluff, and I think that that's a much more refreshing idea than like oh, my power's gonna make me big and strong, right? Because I don't know, it's just it feels so boring, right? I want somebody that is that feels like they're just lying the entire time during the fight, right? Because assuming that you can, man up and swing on them, they'll win. The problem is, you gotta stop being a little bitch and punch them, right? And so I think it creates a very fun dynamic where, especially for the story I'm writing, where because the guy is still like a superhuman, right? Like he's still a guy that's pretty dang strong. Um, I think it creates a fun dynamic where they're scared, right? And like even if they did punch him, it probably wouldn't hurt him very much. So, I'm thinking of all the like the writing potential of, you know, you think that you think that you've beaten him, you think that you've kind of gotten one over on him, and or you think that like you're gonna overcome this fear and punch him, and then it still does nothing, right? Um, so for the bad guy here, I didn't notice this until much later in the drawing process, but I was just trying to draw like a generic businessman, right? Just like a generic, like like almost like a Scooby Doo villain, like evil capitalist kind of looking guy. And I didn't realize until much further in the drawing where I was like, oh, well, I'll make him have paler skin because he's scared, right? And I was like, well, my guy has brown hair, so let's make sure this guy has blonde hair, right? Because that'll make it look, like that'll make it look like that'll make it have some like visual contrast, right? Um, yeah. Turns out, I kind of just drew Donald Trump, and that's not like intentional. Like that wasn't like a thing that I wanted to do. But especially with having like a blue suit on and the red tie, I was looking at it probably like I was probably like an hour and I don't know, hour and like 15 into it. Like I was deep enough to where it's like I can't really redraw those. Where I was like, oh, I did just kind of draw skinny Donald Trump, didn't I? I was like, oh shit, Um, in terms of how to convey the intimidation, I went through a couple ideas here. Um, at first I wanted to have like almost like an aura around him, because he's just so Sigma, he just has so much aura. But in like in the more realistic sense, I wanted it to kind of feel like in like a show like JoJo's or whatever, where they'll like approach somebody and there's like this like emanating feeling around them, right? I wanted that kind of a feeling, right? I wanted that kind of a idea to be conveyed through this. And I don't know, I think it's better if it feels like the world is caving in rather than him exemplifying some kind of energy. I think it's better to have it feel like he is like the world is revolving around him because he's the only thing you can focus on because you're so scared. I think that works a hell of a lot better than you other ideas. So you can see here that we got the beta design, I guess. But yeah, no, it was a little weird to draw the anatomy of like the hand because for when I draw my anatomy, I normally draw it where it's like I'll like I'll think of like where my hand would be placed if I were to grab my own shoulder or something. But like I can't really do that because like I'd have to reach around my head to get it at the right angle because if you're grabbing somebody's shoulder from the side, your thumb is facing outwards, right? Because when your hand is pushed outwards, like your thumb is going to be facing in. And so like trying to wrap my head around that was a fun endeavor. But yeah, again, I think the line art actually turned out, at least for him, I think it turned out very, very good. It was very clean. Um, for him, I kind of wish I had changed up his facial structure a little bit, but because I started drawing with the hand, I think that definitely messed up a little bit of my facial anatomy. Which of course that's merely an excuse. I could have done better. Made his face. I don't know. I think in some of the other images, I make his face look a little, I guess, a little fatter, like a little chubbier. Um, but then again, I don't really have a reference sheet for this. But yeah, no, I was really just trying to make a generic business guy. It did just kind of like around this point is where it's like fully formed. I'm just like, uh oh. But yeah. Also, so the guy that I'm always drawing this is like the main character of the series. Like his if you ever wonder why is he always just wearing like a hoodie and shorts, it's because I mean the guy's in high school. He doesn't have the money to afford an actual superhero costume, so he just kind of wears just like puts a pair of sunglasses on, puts the hoodie up, and kind of calls it a day because I mean, and there is explanations within the story as to why it works as well as it does. Um, again, his face is a little long in this, but again, there is an explanation for why it seems like he has such a lazy costume, right? Because one of the things I hate about Spider-Man. One of the only things I hate is somehow, which I think the first Spider-Man movie does this a little better, right? Because like when he first goes to that wrestling match, right, where he's like trying to, he has like this very like homemade suit on, right, and that's believable, right? Like it feels like that could be something like a teenager throws together, right? But then he just kind of gets like the full get up, right? Like this full outfit, and then like these things are damaged and ripped and all this stuff, and it's like, what isn't half of Peter's struggle that he's poor? Like how who is bankrolling all of these all of this stuff for him? And that's one of those things where it's like I bet there is some like canon explanation in Spider-Man comic 484 where he talks about how actually it's super cheap because it's made of blah, 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 blah. But it's like come on man, because I could buy that Spider-Man could be an amazing seamstress. I think I could buy that. However, I cannot buy that Peter Parker would ever have the cash laying around to do this, to make a full costume, right? And so I wanted to make sure that for my guy, who is Joseph, right? That's the name of the guy. I wanted it to make it feel like he felt like much more of a realistic um, interpretation of what like an actual teenage superhero is, because I think there is a lot of media that's obviously written by people like in their 20s that haven't been to high school in a while, and I think it's very telling. I think it's very I think you can very much feel it, and that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons I'm writing a whole friggin' comic book. Wouldn't you know it? Um, but yeah, so again, I really did like how this turned out. Obviously, whenever I got around like this whole kind of painting a presence, or like painting that like kind of outside feeling, I do kind of wish I had replaced some of his. I think Joseph in general kind of looks a little wonky here, but I mean it's fine. Call it visual distortion because he's so scared or something like that. Um, but yeah, no. In terms of plans, again, once the series is done, I should have a first issue and like all of those kind of things ready and waiting for all of you to read. So if you think that like these are cool and like you like hearing me talk about what I think of superheroes and all that stuff, it is all leading somewhere. I'm not like one of the 1,000th commentary channel on YouTube, which is like I hate superheroes and they're stupid and I hate every Marvel movie. I'm not gonna do anything about it if I don't hate them, right? Just because I don't know, I find that annoying. So be the change you want to see. It should release around. I know I put in the description, but it should release around January or so of next year. If not, maybe a little earlier. So stay tuned for that. stay tuned for tomorrow or maybe the next day's video when I continue to draw the next power on the list. If you got any questions, put them in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful day. See ya.